So we got a couple of interesting clips to comment on today. So let's get right into it, inshallah. So we have this Hollywood actor, famous actor. His name is Terrence Howard. And he was with the biggest shell in human history, the biggest agent in the universe, PVD, that everyone knows, of course. I mean, we've reacted to his clips before, saying things which are inaccurate and stuff like that. I mean, it's interesting that a lot of people now are noticing and have noticed that he's being essentially, paid or told or any of these things so he can spread misinformation and propaganda. So let's have a look. So he allegedly says that he was a Muslim and he left Islam. So let's hear what he has to say.
Did you ever become a Muslim yourself?
Yes, my name was Suleiman. Practiced a lot, did all of that.
For how long?
Up until I was 13.
Up until 13, you're Muslim. Mm-hmm. And then how did you walk away from it?
I've talked about this before, but there was...
So the first thing is this, right? First thing is this. Before we even get into the story that he's about to say, he says he was a Muslim up until he was 13 years old. Okay? You realize what that means. So someone is saying he left a religion when he was 13 years old. I mean, people just left elementary school, and apparently he says he left Islam. As if you're in that age, you're able to make proper assessments of world religions and information and what is proof and what is accurate and what is right and what is wrong. So, I mean, do you really leave a religion at the age of 13? Do you really leave a religion? I mean, if your kid is 13 years old and he said, I left religion, whatever the religion, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, whatever it is, would you take that claim seriously, or say this kid is young and have a small discussion with him, seeing what got him into saying this? So this is the first thing. The first thing he says, that this was when he was 13 years old. Okay, let's hear the story or the reason why he says he left the religion.
A day I came home and all of the brothers from the masjid was over at the house, and there was this brother, Yaqub, very kind, loved his scent, loved his nature. But apparently he had castrated a wino, a homeless person, for urinating on the masjid.
He castrated him?
Castrated him.
And he's sharing the story with you?
No. Everybody's around. Like 13 of the brothers from the mosque are there because Yaqub has been arrested, and they're talking about that. And they were sitting, the conversation was, well, he shouldn't have.
So he says, he asked him, have you seen this yourself? Imagine castrating a human being. Who does this? I mean, the wildest stories that we hear in our life. So he's asking him, did you see this yourself? I mean, even PBD, who's probably doesn't get shocked by anything, because I said he's an agent, but he's hearing this. I'm like, come on. If you make up a story, at least make it a bit believable, yeah? Anyways, let's accept this story for now. So he's asking him, were you there? No, there was people in the mosque, and he was arrested. So he was arrested for something. I mean, is it proven or not? A group of people are saying something. Is it proof? Okay, let's hear what he's saying.
He shouldn't have
castrated.
Well, he shouldn't have. What is the term? I can't. Desecrate. That was it. He shouldn't have desecrated the holy temple.
Sorry, desecrated what? The holy what? The holy temple? I know, sorry, we're talking about urinating and stuff like this and temples. I think maybe you're mixing religions here. I think maybe you're mixing religions and regions. I'm not going to say which religion. I think people they already in their mind understand what I'm talking about. But I think maybe you're getting things confused here. Who calls the mosque a holy temple? No Muslim uses this terminology. I mean, this just shows what we're talking about. You saying you're a Muslim, but to say you were a Muslim, you need to actually even have a basic understanding of what Islam was. For me to say I left something, I need to first understand what that thing is. So I don't know what this holy temple is. And Muslim, all of these things are things that Muslims don't say. But anyways, let's continue hearing the story about the temple. Guys, remember, holy temple, urinating and defecating, certain religions, you probably get the idea. Anyways.
By urinating on the mosque. That was what they were talking about. They weren't talking about the fact that this young man or older gentleman was also a child of God that may have been lost. And I was like, that, it was so severe.
You're overhearing this conversation?
Yes.
Or you're
I'm sitting, no, I'm in the stairs and they're in the living room.
So you're not part of the conversation
No.
the 13 men are having.
I'm just listening.
Got it.
And it could have been 12, but it felt like, all the seats were taken up. And so at that moment, I started questioning Islam in that regard, because the God of love, I couldn't see that happening.
Okay, so let's break this down. Let's understand what he's saying now. First, we have this wild, insane story. He himself admits he's not an eyewitness to it. He says that he overheard some people from a distance, it seems. He wasn't even in the middle of the conversation, that someone was arrested for this crime. So there's no confirmation that this happened or not. He hasn't seen a confirmation himself. There's no confirmation. Let's assume this story is true, okay? Let's accept this wild story that, it's crazy when people say stories. I mean, bring something more believable. Castrating a human being. Okay, all right. So let's say this happened. Let's say this is true, and this story happened. Then see how what he says. Then from that moment, I started questioning Islam because a loving God. So how did you move from a man doing something in the mosque, or a group of men saying something in a mosque, to God? I mean, maybe you're confusing religions again. We don't believe God is a human being. We don't believe any Muslim is God on earth. We don't believe Muslims are a representation of the faith. I mean, I know many of the people who bring these claims anyways are not bringing them from a genuine point, but we don't believe any of this. We believe in the Islamic teachings. And what's mind-blowing, that many Muslims probably listening probably know this, but a lot of non-Muslims don't know. What's mind-blowing that this exact story exists in our Islamic history. So, I mean, it cannot get more wild than this. I think Allah guided this person to say this, so Allah can make people learn the mercy of Islam. So Allah can make people learn the mercy of the Prophet Muhammad. So Allah can educate people about the truth and mercy and compassion of Islam that they are trying to claim doesn't exist. So what do we have? We have an exact 100% similar situation without the castration, obviously. We have an exact 100% same situation happening at the time of the Prophet. There is a man of the Arab. Arab is the people who live in the outskirts of Mecca and Medina. Very rigid people living in tents and stuff like that, right? So one of them came to the mosque. This is the story. This is an actual incident that happened in the life of the Prophet. It's in our narrations and hadith, in the most authentic books. The man came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Muslims were there, the Prophet were there. He went to the mosque and he started urinating. So exactly what you just said. Now we're saying a homeless person did it. This Arabi is a person also of a rigid nature or whatever, living in the outskirts of Medina. He comes and he starts urinating. The companions see him and they're about to take a hold of him. Of course, they're like, how could you do this? They want to capture him. They want to take him. They want to remove him or push him or do whatever they wanted to do to him. Because of course, they believe this place is the house of God. So according to you, Islam should teach, because now if we're talking about God, this is going to be Islamic teachings now. Prophet is going to say, take this guy and castrate him, right? This is what you think Islam is about. The Prophet of Allah tells the companions, stop. Do not stop him from urinating. He didn't just tell them to stop. He said, do not interrupt. Let us remove. Do not interrupt him while he's urinating. Let him finish. Do you understand? We talk about castration. And when he finished urinating, then the Prophet told them, throw water on top of the urine, obviously to purify the area, basically cleanse it with water. Then the Prophet went to that man. What do you think the Prophet did? He castrated him, yeah, according to the story. Prophet ﷺ said to him that this is a house of God. This is a mosque. It's a place of worship. It's not appropriate for us to do something like this in a house of God, in a place of worship. Then the Prophet, does it end there? Imagine the mercy. Like, if we talk about mercy and compassion, I mean, if this clip reaches you, Mr. Terrence, then this should be the reason for you to come back to Islam. If this was the reason, truly, if the story is true, then this should be the reason that you come back to Islam, because you want to believe in a merciful God in a story like this. Your exact story here. Here's the Prophet of God telling us how to behave. The story doesn't end there, where the Prophet just tells him that and lets him go. Then the Prophet turns around and he speaks to the Sahaba, the companions. And he said to them, we were sent from God, or God commanded us, muyassirin, as people who are lenient, people who are easy, people who are merciful. Not mu'assirin, not people who are of difficulty. Not people who bring about hardship to other people. Mind-blowing. I mean, this story, many Muslims heard the story because we know the character of the Prophet ﷺ. not what people keep character assassinating the Prophet ﷺ with lies and fabricated stories and fairy tales. These are real life events. This is what Muslims are being taught of how to behave. So even if this story, fairy tale story, was true, all of these Muslims went against the action of the Prophet ﷺ. When they have an actual precedent of how to behave, and they have a clear teaching of the Prophet that we are sent to easy and lenient to the people. So how can I blame God and say that I believe in a merciful God? When these people literally have in their own tradition the Prophet teaching us what to do in the exact same situation if this were to happen in real life. It's insane. But now I want to bring attention to the most important thing, because I'm going to play another quick clip now. But I want to bring attention to this idea. People who criticize Islam, people who claim they left Islam, is always, 99% of the time, emotional stuff. They're emotional or it's lies. Really, it's either emotional or lies. There is never anything of substance and value that they have to bring that is true, that is a critique of the actual religion and the actual faith. And it's really disappointing. Now I'm going to play another clip, and this clip is another example, because I want to tell you guys, there is so many of these clips happening now. Is this script? You got to be aware of it as Muslims, even as non-Muslims watching this clip. You got to be aware of the script. When the minute you see someone says, I'm an ex-Muslim, I used to be a Muslim, I was a Muslim, but this happened. Always question this idea. Of course, look at what they say, but question what they say, number one. And number two, question the fact that they were even Muslims to begin with. 13 years old, this, that. So I'm going to play another clip. And like I said, this is not one or two clips. Today there is hundreds or tens of thousands of these clips out there in online. Thousands or tens of thousands of these clips being circulated here and there of people who every single one of them claims, I'm an ex-this. You don't find anyone say, I'm an ex-Christian, I'm an ex-Jew, I'm an ex-this. It's only ex-Muslim. So let me play this other example of the same idea, lying, fabricating, making up stuff, and claiming that a person was a Muslim before. Okay?
Islam came as a rejection of biblical values. It was a movement against the Ten Commandments. The reason is Muhammad violated all of the Ten Commandments. Every biblical value that the Christians and Jews stand for, their prophet has violated. They cannot save face here. I was born a Muslim. I was born in Cairo. I really thought I was a Muslim, and I defended.
With all of my being, if I need to put my life down for it, I will do it.
Before I comment on this, Indian just coming out of nowhere, jumping in front of the screen. You see, I told you, listen to the words. It's always lies. It's always lies or emotional things. And you will see what I'm saying. So the first thing she says is what? She's from Cairo. First thing she says, what? I was a Muslim. Arabic speaking people, not a single one of them says Muslim. Not a single one, because we speak Arabic. And in Arabic, the letter is seen. It's Muslim. If she was born in Cairo and she's an Arab, she would never use the term Muslim. But when you look at a woman like this, and I know their faces because I've been to Egypt, I've seen the faces of these people. Many people don't know, but there's like 15 to 20 million Coptic Christians in Egypt. Christians, and most of them lie that they were Muslims before. Why? Because they speak the Arabic language. Islam is surrounding them. So they pretend, I was a Muslim. I know this, I know that. Of course, you would know, you're in that community. But you can see in their speech their lies. As Allah tells us in the Quran, the hypocrisy you always see in their speech. You notice in their speech the lies that they're making. This woman says she was born in Cairo. So instantly, no, from her face I can tell. From her looks, because they have a certain look. And from her words. No Muslim, look, don't believe me, speak to anyone from Cairo. And tell him to tell you the word Muslim. Or a sentence in Arabic that has the word Muslim in it. None of them is going to say Muslim. This is just a US foreign thing. And when it comes to she's speaking in English, it doesn't matter if she's speaking in English. She's an Arab. So she's going to pronounce the word in the way that was in her mind all of these years that she grew up with. Muslims don't use that word. We all even make fun of that word. So if betting was permissible, I would bet right now tens of thousands of dollars that this woman is not saying the truth. Okay, let's just continue hearing what she says.
I went to the church and I heard the sermon. The holiness of the topic was so powerful on me. I started crying. I started crying from the beginning of the sermon to the end. And I immediately realized that the religion I was born in was not holy. So I started reading about Islam for the first time. I started reading about Sharia. I couldn't believe that Islam violated all the 10 commandments.
Remember what I said. Emotions. I started crying. Like one of the quotes is so funny that it says, she's such a brave woman. They don't know there is 15 to 20 million Christians in Egypt. What's brave about this? I can name you multiple people in Egypt who are atheists and this and that, and out there on YouTube and other places they're talking about Islam in a bad way. And Christian preachers and priests and whatever. They're protected. They're in Egypt. They're living. They've been living since the Muslims went to Egypt. They allowed them to live. They actually protected them. A lot of people don't know this. When Amr ibn al-As went, in their book, the book of the Coptic church called the Sangsar, it mentions Amr ibn al-As came because the Roman king, because he didn't like the Coptics, they were persecuting them. And they killed the high priest or whatever, or his brother, and they chopped him to pieces and threw him in the sea, and all of the story. When Amr al-As came, he let them open their churches, and he called the high priest to come back. His name Benjamin, I believe. Nobody knows this. But this is how they repay the goodness that was given to them. So, yeah, emotional stuff. So now she says the Prophet Muhammad broke the 10 commandments. Okay, let's hear.
Don't kill. Muhammad killed. Don't steal. He stole. Don't have sex outside of marriage. He himself had sex outside of marriage.
Don't worship an idol.
I know. Well, it's honestly really funny. This idiot just pops up. Like tech support in the middle of every time she's talking, he just pops up.
Islam is the biggest idolatry that is out there.
The black stone that they go and
kiss and worship.
That same black stone was in the Kaaba before Islam, and they took it.
Okay, don't kill. Prophet Muhammad killed. Don't steal. Prophet Muhammad stole. Prophet Muhammad had intercourse outside of marriage. Source? I made it up. Source? Trust me, bro. These are the sources. Like, no sources. Zero sources. Okay, thou shalt not kill was given as a command to who? The 10 commandments was given to Moses. Moses didn't kill. Of course, you're allowed to defend yourself. It's about innocent people. You're not allowed to harm innocent people. You're not allowed to hurt innocent people. Of course. But in war, when you're fighting other people, Moses, which this was revealed to him, and all the prophets of God that came after him, all of them fought. The Old Testament is full of murder, actually. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, in war, when you're fighting an enemy, you're allowed to defend yourself. So this is the killing. It's actually, we have a report of only one man. The Prophet ﷺ killed himself. One man. And that man he made an oath that he would kill the Prophet ﷺ. He said, either I will die or the Prophet will die in battle. And in that battle, he died. The Prophet killed him. Because he was coming to kill the Prophet. It's the only record we have, the Prophet himself doing that. We don't have any other records. Don't steal. The Prophet stole. What a liar. Where's the proof? Where is the proof? Don't have intercourse outside. The Prophet would have intercourse outside. Do you think he's going to be telling companions, don't do it, and he will be doing it, and nobody's going to criticize him? I mean, if you want to lie, at least bring some sources. At least when you make it up, at least just mix up. Then the black stone was there before the Kaaba. Where is the proof? They worship the black stone. Nobody worships the black stone. We answered this a million times. That Umar ibn Khattab explicitly says that you are only a stone. You don't benefit, you don't harm. This is the second caliphate of Islam saying this. And if the Prophet didn't kiss you, I wouldn't kiss you. You can perform Hajj without kissing the stone. Nobody worships the stone. And the funny thing, you have this same kissing stone story or whatever, or you have these stone stories that forgive sins in the Old Testament and Isaiah. They don't know this. This is in their own book. We don't have this. We don't believe worshipping the stone. But don't throw these stones when you live in a glass house. It's insane.
And
They're worshiping it.
Islam is the only religion that legally kills those who leave it. Actually, it's an obligation to kill you. Anyone on the streets who kills you will be forgiven. This is in Sharia.
Source? I made it up. Islam is the only religion, she says, legally that commands that. She hasn't read Deuteronomy. Go to Deuteronomy. Read yourself. I'm going to display the verse on the screen. It doesn't only say, it says that your hand, if someone entices you, your father, your mother, your friend, anyone, entices you to worship any other god, apostasy, then you be the person who unalive him instantly. You do it. And then everyone around you, let their hands be on this person. There's no such teaching in Islam or you yourself as a vigilante do this. I have plenty of videos already responding to this idea. But again, you see, when we say lies, the funny thing is that she says, I left Islam, and she went to everything. She's lying about Islam. I says it exists in Islam, which actually exists in Christianity. She left Islam and went to this, where Paul tells you that to a Jew, I become a Jew, so I can bring them to the Christian, I become a Christian. He becomes everything to everyone, so he can lie. He says, if my lie helps people or righteousness or whatever, why are you blaming me? If my lie is helping people to come closer to God. These lying things that you talk about, it's happening in religion. The killing I already mentioned, killing babies, children, and infants. It is in the Old Testament, in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3. And I can mention many, many more verses. She said whatever she's accusing Islam of, and she's saying she left off, is what is in her own scripture, it is in her own book.
Being a Muslim is like belonging to the mafia.
And she said also that, kill people on the street. Being Islam is like being in the mafia. I told you there's 15 to 20 million. Why are they leaving you alive? Why are they not applying this law according to you? We didn't have these millions of Christians alive then.
Islam is worse than communism. The leaders of Islam know that if they remove the death penalty for leaving Islam, the whole Islamic world will collapse.
Okay. Funny thing, anyone, just go Google. Is there a death penalty applied in Egypt for people who leave Islam? And you yourself see there's no such thing. She says if the leaders knew this, your leader, the Egyptian president, Sisi, built in 2019 the biggest cathedral in the Middle East. This is the guy who wants to murder us and persecute us. Built you the biggest cathedral in the Middle East. What are you talking about? It's honestly like hearing and listening to these people. I mean, I honestly don't want to play the rest of the video because she talks about emotional stuff. The rest of it is all emotional stuff without any proofs. She talks about, I was hearing the sermon and then I started to feel this whatever. And then the priest said, whoever wants to baptize it, and I came and I felt like I was cleansed.
The pastor was saying, if anybody was not baptized, we have a baptism. So I got up and I went to the baptism area and I was shivering.
It's all like stories and emotions and no proof, no evidences. So the point of playing this clip is what? What's the point of playing this clip? Is the point I'm making. These two clips, they highlight the same thing. You're going to find so many of these people today. People are saying I'm an ex-Muslim. I'm not claiming that there isn't nobody who leaves Islam. But sadly, the overwhelming majority of these people are not. They've never been Muslims. They're liars. They're people of other religions. And the reason is very simple. The reason is that when you leave a religion, you don't go and say I'm an ex-this. Nobody goes around saying that they were something. Like I said, this doesn't exist anywhere. But it exists with Islam because it's done for reasons, propaganda, with these shells that are being bought or are sold, as you guys know, by the Zionists. And then what did they do? They spread this propaganda, the $7,000 post for this propaganda, and they get paid and they lie about Islam. And that we have to deal with this stuff. So what else can we do? I mean, the only thing we can do is respond and clarify to the people.